Last Thursday, a retired couple rolled into my shop in a 2016 minivan with 287,000 miles on the odometer. The only thing wrong with it was a wheel bearing. 90 minutes later, a man parked a 3-year-old van in the next bay, and I had to tell him the repair estimate was higher than the dealer would give him on trade. 22 years of pulling minivan transmissions has taught me which ones die young and which refuse to quit. 8 are sitting on used lots right now for pocket change. 5 will drain your bank account no matter how cheap the sticker looks. And watch for this as we go. 1 van shows up on both lists. Same badge, same body, different model years. That is the entire game in this business. Used lots treat minivans like washing machines. Nobody photographs one at sunset, so resale falls off a cliff while the engine underneath keeps working for another decade. That gap is the biggest bargain left in this market. I am going deepest on number 1, because number 1 beats a brand new $50,000 minivan using an engine the manufacturer threw in the trash. Number 8, the Dodge Grand Caravan, model years 2018 through 2020. I can hear the groaning. Stay with me, because this is the most unfairly judged vehicle on any used lot in America. Ray came in 2 years ago, 71, retired off a county road crew, and his wife had just started using a walker. He needed something she could get into without climbing that still swallowed her mobility scooter. He paid $11,800 for a 2019 SXT, and in 2 years he has bought oil changes, wipers, and a battery. From 2011 on, Chrysler dropped in the 3.6-liter Pentastar V6, around 283 horsepower. That engine went into millions of Jeep Wranglers and Ram pickups, so every parts counter stocks pieces, and the shop down your street has rebuilt a dozen. No turbocharger waiting to fail. The weakness is the plastic oil filter housing, which cracks and weeps oil down the front of the engine. Get underneath with a flashlight and look for an oily film. The updated part is aluminum and about an hour of labor. Then work every sliding door and the liftgate 5 times, because door motors are this van's real flaw, and check the stow and go wells for standing water. Buy it if you haul people and equipment and refuse to lose sleep over a vehicle. Skip it if you want a quiet cabin or you care about resale. 11 to 15,000, 200,000 miles, maybe 3,000 in upkeep. That new $50,000 van loses more than your whole purchase price in 3 years sitting in a driveway. That is the cheapest way in, but the next one gives you the toughest engine ever put in a minivan for even less. Number 7, the second-generation Toyota Sienna, model years 2007 through 2010. In 2007, Toyota put the 2GR FE, a 3.5-liter V6, into the Sienna. Same engine family as the Camry, the Highlander, and the Lexus RX 350, and Lotus liked it enough to buy it for their sports cars. Toyota put a supercar's engine into a school pickup line vehicle, and almost no owner ever learned its name. I maintain 3 right now, all past 200,000 miles, none burning oil. One belongs to a retired postal worker who paid $7,200 for a 2010. In 4 years, he has bought tires, brakes, and 1 wheel bearing. Inspect 4 things: oil residue at the valve covers and timing cover, which weeps with age and is cheap insurance rather than a reason to run. The sliding door cables, which fray on high mileage examples. The underbody for corrosion. And the front strut mounts, which clunk over speed bumps. Buy it if your budget tops out under $10,000 and you want the drivetrain rather than the trim. Skip it if you want modern safety technology, because there is none here, or if you cannot find one from outside the Salt Belt. Rust is the enemy on this one, not the engine. 6 to 9,000 with records, 250,000 miles, and budget $4,000 along the way. Hold on to that engine name, because you meet it again at number 1, wearing a much newer body. But first, the van nobody trusts, for reasons that stopped being true 20 years ago. Number 6. the Kia Sedona, model years 2017 through 2021. You might remember the retired teacher certain her Sedona was making a noise. It was a pebble wedged in a brake caliper bracket. I flicked it out with a screwdriver, charged her nothing, and she stood there convinced I was hiding something. People do not trust a Kia that simply works, because their opinion of the brand froze in 2004. That bias is why you can buy this van for thousands less than it deserves. The 3.3-liter V6 is part of Hyundai and Kia's Lambda family. Naturally aspirated, timing chain rather than a belt, so there is no $800 to $1,200 service waiting down the road. Behind it, a conventional 6-speed through 2018 and a torque converter 8-speed from 2019 on, with no continuously variable transmission gambling with your money. Check two things: the motorized sliding doors, which Kia extended warranty coverage on, because of a real failure rate, so cycle them and listen for a crunching, dragging sound. Then push every button on the infotainment and rear climate controls, because electrical gremlins are this van's only real weakness. One thing people get wrong online: that famous 10-year powertrain warranty belongs to the original owner. Buy it used and you get 5 years or 60,000 miles from the original in-service date. Check that date before you fall in love. Buy it if you want reliability and a little dignity, because the SX and SXL interiors embarrass vehicles costing far more. Skip it if you tow anything heavy. 13 to 22,000, comfortably past 200,000 miles, and 30 grand still in the bank. That one is for space and comfort. This next one solves a completely different problem. Number 5. The Mazda 5, model years 2012 through 2015. This is a minivan that shrank in the wash. Real sliding doors on both sides, 3 rows, 6 seats, and a footprint barely bigger than a compact car. Underneath is a 2.5-liter 4-cylinder, with a timing chain instead of a belt. It is not fast and never tried to be. What it does is return fuel economy that embarrasses every V6 here while still swallowing a walker and a weekend of luggage. A widow in her 70s bought one from me 4 years ago. She could not climb up into a full-size van anymore, and she was tired of bending down into a sedan to load groceries. The step-in height on this thing is almost exactly chair height. In 4 years, it has needed tires and brakes. The inspection is short, but it is not optional. On any Mazda 5 that spent winters in Ohio, Michigan, or upstate New York, get it on a lift and look hard at the rear suspension mounting points, the brake lines, and the subframe. A rusty one is not a bargain at any price. A garage-kept example will run to 200,000 miles on oil changes and spark plugs. Buy it if getting in and out has been bothering you, or if you park in a tight garage. Skip it if you regularly carry 6 adults. 7 to 11,000, 200,000 miles, and running costs closer to a compact car than a minivan. If the Mazda is too small, there is a way to get everything the Grand Caravan does with a far quieter ride for the same money. Number 4. The Chrysler Town & Country, model years 2014 through 2016. This is the same Grand Caravan, wearing a nicer suit, and the used market prices the two almost identically. Same Pentastar V6, same 6-speed, same parts on the same shelves. What you gain is leather, real sound deadening in the doors and floor, and a genuinely quiet highway cruise on the touring trims. That 2014 through 2016 window matters, and I will explain why before this video is over, because this nameplate turns up on my avoid list. I have a couple who drive one from Michigan to Arizona and back every winter. They bought it at 90,000 miles and are past 180,000. He keeps it because any shop in any small town between here and Tucson can work on it. Same inspection as number 8. Cycle the doors and liftgate and listen for grinding or a door that stops halfway. Check the floor wells for water. Ask for transmission fluid records and feel that first to second shift stone cold. If it thumps, knock the price down and budget for a fluid service. Buy it if you are spending Grand Caravan money and you sit in the seat for 4 hours at a stretch. Skip it if you are hard on a vehicle, since the extra electronics only give you more to break. 10 to 14,000, 200,000 miles, and for the price of a set of tires, you get a completely different drive. This next one is the Japanese van most people assume is out of their price range, and there is one narrow window where it is not. Number 3. The Honda Odyssey, model years 2014 through 2017. These are the last Odysseys built before Honda got clever with transmissions. The J35 V6 is bolted to a conventional 6-speed automatic, which is boring in the way a transmission should be. Starting in 2018, Honda moved to a 9-speed on the upper trims, and it gave owners hesitation, harsh engagement, and a great many dealer visits. A grandfather I have known for years bought a 2016 for one feature: the second row seat slides sideways. If you have ever tried to reach into the middle of a row to buckle a child, or lift a grandchild out with a bad shoulder, that alone is worth the van. The honest problem is variable cylinder management, Honda's system that shuts down cylinders to save fuel. On some of these, it fouls the rear bank spark plugs and raises oil consumption. Ask when the plugs were last replaced, and check the dipstick before the test drive rather than after. If the level is low and the seller shrugs, that tells you how the van was kept. A well-maintained one runs past 250,000 miles. Buy it if you are regularly loading and unloading grandchildren, or if your reach and shoulders are not what they were. Skip it if you cannot get proof of plug-in oil service history, and buy the Sedona instead. 13 to 19,000, 250,000 miles achievable, and budget for a plug service in your first year. Everything so far has been at least 9 years old. Number 2 breaks that rule, and it is here for one number. Number 2, the Chrysler Pacifica with the gas V6, model years 2021 through 2023. Let me be straight, this is the expensive one on the list. Not dirt cheap in dollars, dirt cheap in what somebody else already paid for it. A loaded Pacifica stickered near 50,000 new. 3 years later, the same van, gas V6, no hybrid system, sits on a used lot in the low 20s. Somebody else absorbed $25,000 of depreciation for you in 36 months. You get the 287 horsepower Pentastar V6 from number 8 in a vehicle with a modern crash structure, blind spot monitoring, and a cabin that is quiet at 70 miles an hour. I put a 74-year-old man in one last year. His neck does not turn the way it used to, and his daughter had been quietly worried for 2 years. Blind spot monitoring solved a real medical limitation, and he paid less than half of what it cost new. Now the friction, because I am not going to sell you a fairy tale. The 9-speed automatic in this van responds to software. Ask the seller for proof that dealer updates were performed, ask for transmission service records, and on the test drive get it into stop-and-go traffic and feel for harsh downshifts. Check every power feature too, because the electrical content here is enormous compared to anything else on this list. Buy it if your eyesight, neck, or reaction time has changed, because driver assistance stops being a gadget at a certain point in life. Skip it if the seller cannot produce software records. 22 to 28,000 for a clean one, and against 50,000 new, you keep more than 20 grand. Now, before number 1, one quick thing aimed at exactly one kind of person watching this. If you have ever looked at a used van and thought about driving out to see the grandkids, or spending a winter somewhere warm instead of paying to heat an empty house, there is a side of this I cannot get into on camera, where you can legally park overnight without somebody tapping on the glass at 2 in the morning. How people cut their monthly costs to almost nothing, while keeping the insurance, registration, and plates completely clean. If I said that here the way I would say it in my shop, this channel would be in trouble by Friday. So I wrote it down instead. It is called the Van Life Savings Manual. The link is in the description underneath this video, And if you are watching on your television, there is a QR code on the screen you can scan with your phone. Go get it before you go shopping, not after. Now, number one, the Toyota Sienna with the V6, model years 2015 and 2016, or the 2020 if your budget stretches. The minivan that will outlast a brand new $50,000 Sienna is an old Sienna. In 2021, Toyota dropped the V6 and made this van hybrid only, with a 4-cylinder, 2 electric motors, a high-voltage battery pack, and a continuously variable transmission. That system is efficient, and Toyota understands hybrids, so it will very likely prove reliable. But look at what you traded. One dead simple naturally aspirated V6 with a conventional automatic became a 4-cylinder plus 2 motors, plus a battery, plus a CVT. Far more that can fail, and far more expensive when it does. The engine they walked away from is the same 2GR-FE you met at number 7. Owners routinely report these passing 300,000 miles without burning noticeable oil, and one documented over 550,000. When I say 400,000, I am not guessing. I have watched them refuse to die on my own lift. In 2017, Toyota switched to direct injection and a new 8-speed automatic, and that 8-speed had teething problems when it arrived. The 2015 and 2016 vans are the newest years still carrying the original engine with the proven 6-speed behind it. That is the bullseye for somebody who never wants to think about their vehicle again. The 2020, the final V6 year, is your pick if you want the newer cabin. You might remember the woman dead set on a new hybrid. I asked what she had budgeted for repairs over 10 years, and she said a new Toyota would not need any. I told her about my brother-in-law's 2016, the one I service myself, bought used for $18,000 and now passed 190,000 miles on brakes, tires, fluids, and one set of plugs. She found a clean 2016 instead and kept $30,000. Inspection is short. Oil residue at the valve covers and timing seals. Clean decisive shifts on the test drive. Cycle every power door and the liftgate, and check the underbody for corrosion if it lived where they salt. Then the pro tip, and it applies to every van here. Find one owned by an older couple. A Sienna that hauled grandkids on Sundays and sat in a garage the rest of the week, with every service stamped in a folder, is a new van wearing an old odometer. Buy it if you keep vehicles for the long haul, and if you want all-wheel drive for snow country, the V6 Sienna offered it when almost nobody else did. Skip it if fuel economy comes first, because the new hybrid genuinely uses less gas. $16,000 to $21,000 for a clean 2015 or 2016. Against $50,000 new, you keep $30,000 and get the engine more likely to still be running. Now the other half of this video, and honestly the half that saves the most money. 5 minivans I would not take for free. Number 5 to avoid. The Ford Freestar and its twin, the Mercury Monterey, 2004 through 2007. Transmission failures were common enough to become a running joke among mechanics, and there was a serious rear axle corrosion issue in SALT states. A cheap Freestar is cheap for the oldest reason in this business. Number 4 to avoid. The Nissan Quest, 2011 through 2017. The VQ35 V6 is genuinely a good engine. The problem sits directly behind it. Nissan attached a continuously variable transmission to a heavy 3-row vehicle, and when those fail, and plenty do, the replacement cost approaches what the whole van is worth. I have delivered that news in my own parking lot, and it never gets easier. Number 3 to avoid, and this is the one I told you to watch for. The 2011 through 2013 Grand Caravan and Town & Country. The same 2 nameplates I recommended at number 8 and number 4. Same badge, same body, same name on the back. The first Pentastar engines had a left cylinder head problem, along with early water pump and cooling casting issues. Chrysler sorted it in the later years. That is why I gave you model year windows instead of telling you to buy a Grand Caravan. Model years matter more than badges. Every time. Number 2 to avoid. The Honda Odyssey, 2018 through 2020. Good engine, good van. Wrong transmission. The 9-speed on the upper trims produced hesitation and harsh shifting complaints. And the doors and infotainment generated their own dealer visits. Buy the 2017 instead and keep the difference. Number 1 to avoid, and this matters most. The Chrysler Pacifica Hybrid, 2017 and 2018. These were recalled over the high-voltage battery, and owners were told to stop charging them and park them away from structures until the fix was performed. A high-voltage battery pack out of warranty is a dealership repair rather than a driveway repair, and the cost can exceed the value of the whole vehicle. If you see one priced suspiciously low, that low price is the story. So there it is. 8 minivans the market forgot and mechanics did not, and 5 that will take your money regardless of what you paid for them. The pattern connecting all 8 is the same. Naturally aspirated engines, conventional automatics, timing chains rather than belts, and parts on a shelf in every town in America. Not one is impressive at a stoplight, and every one will still be starting on a cold January morning, long after something shinier sits in a service bay waiting on a back-ordered module. Next time a salesman waves you towards something new and tells you the old ones are high mileage, you will know better. High mileage on the right engine just means it is barely getting started. I have one coming on the exact used engines I would never let a customer buy, at any price. Subscribe so it finds you before you go looking. I will see you in the next one.